Due to increased conflicts in South Sudan, thousands have fled to Uganda in search of peaceful environment. The biggest percentage registered is settled in Bidibidi and Imvepi settlements in Nyumbe district. As Uganda responded to this massive influx, WASH in regards to environmental conservation, availability of water and sanitation coverage was too low.
When we were at the peak of our response, WASH in a nutshell wasn't so positive in regards to the main objectives, but also linked to the indicators within water per capita, sanitation coverage. It was not so good.
Everyone was practicing OD, open defecation, and then the environment was filled up with feces. Then bad enough that time it was still rainy season, so rain could rain, and the environment was extremely very unhygienic.
Yala biga healthy mapi zaman dak wata kulu bes nas ga karabareni ita zadu mabiligo mahala alkwes ya biga nas bigen pija wasakade ya badde biga na bada gata ges nas gata ges gala kerke den nasara le badun mahala alkwes asanan na bigen fogo.
WASH as a sector plays a big role in line with saving lives, but also improving the welfare and social norms of the refugees. It's upon this background that IHA Uganda came through and implemented the Refugee Emergency Aid for Life-Saving project with an aim of addressing the critical WASH and protection needs among the refugees.
IHA within Bidibidi Zone 2 has played a very big role within water, sanitation and hygiene, but also, if I'm to recall deeper, that training of structures within the water user committee has been very enormous, preparing them to be able to take on a system before it's really put in place. Going deeper, that the sanitation package of the PSN latrines were a bit so much enormous, in that more sustainable in regards to user friendly, because at the design stages the users were basically engaged or involved, be able to appreciate them at the end of the project.
There were people who could not be able to support themselves, like we call them PSNs. These people they have special needs. They could not be able to dig latrines, they cannot be able to build for themselves, even houses to sleep on. So IHA, when this report was taken, and then IHA understood the need of the people, IHA tried to support them. And as I speak right now, in the area where we are operating, a latrine was constructed for a PSN, a bus shelter also constructed, and then hand washing facilities supplied for these PSNs, and also solar lamps have been provided for these PSNs so that they could use their latrines even at night hours without problems.
Yala hasi biga anna jainu hajal quest adura ya jalen biga adura ja biga katipinna ya biga jabanen lenna ja saha ja biga munjani jamenna asere anna biga gakara anna begi amul bakana fi jwa ajere bakana anna biga ndu malhamam alta gibere du fogo.
The intervention was really timely. Our people have benefited, though there is still a lot of gap because the number of patients is still big. So the ritual that IHA has done, we appreciate, but we are still requesting for more, if possible.
More than 85% of refugees arriving in Uganda are women and children under the age of 18 who lack access to proper shelter, food, health facilities, among other basic necessities. Traditionally, a girl becomes a woman when she starts her menstruation periods. However, staining one's dress during the period is so embarrassing.
There was a little imbalance when you just realize yourself that you have already started anything, and then the boys start just quarreling on you, abusing you, and they start even uttering a kind bad words on you. Even some of them may mean that maybe you have aborted while you have not.
In an emergency setting like the case for refugees, it is rare for them to afford sanitary wares, and getting their menstrual periods become an additional burden.
We don't have always to use. We are using this piece of cloth. We are using that kind of cloth, then it make our private part to be hot, and others it become injured.
With the painful cramps and bleeding, many girls find it hard to attend school and to even carry out domestic work.
If I'm in the ministry, I'll not come to school. I'll just stay at home. And also at home, maybe I'll not do work, because if I'll just be doing work and without wearing those parts, at times it will also be difficult to that my clothes. So I'll just be staying. I'll stay inside until these 3 days, until the menstruation has gone.
IHA Uganda, under the Refugee Emergency Aid for Life-Saving Initiative, often bought and gave out dignity kits and other sanitary materials to women in the reproductive age and adolescent girls.
Our young girls in schools were really needed. So by the time ADRA came in and distributed this, it was like a God-sent intervention. And this one have helped our girls to keep in schools. Even to those who are not going, are now coming in, because they know they will be able to access those facilities.
When we see that ADRA has come up with that project of giving the girls always and also helping them with soap and panties, that is when at times we are able to be present in the school always.
After knowing that you don't have their parts, how will you come to the class and yet boys are here? After you dating yourself, they will just laugh at you, and before we were fearing, now we are happy.
Amongst the most urgent needs for human health and survival is access to clean water and sanitation. However, the influx of South Sudan refugees in the West Nile region has totally strained the existing water sources. Both the refugees and hosting communities face a hindrance of water shortage.
The most challenging we faced was the one we are drinking water from the stream, the dirty one.
ADRA has drilled more than 5 boreholes in different locations of the settlements to serve both the refugees and the locals. Water catchment systems and reservoirs were put in schools to deal with water shortages, which hindered smooth running of school activities. A massive solar-powered well was constructed to supply water to distant locations, thus saving beneficiaries from moving very long distances in search for water. In the struggle to survive, refugees, especially women and girls, were subjected to various forms of gender-based violence, some of which included sexual assault, mostly by host community, whenever they moved out of the settlements in search for firewood, water, and building materials. Early and forced marriages in exchange with property, domestic violence, among others. ADRA Uganda identified affected individuals and offered appropriate services, including psychosocial counseling. In collaboration with the village leaders, awareness campaigns were enforced to address and stop the vice. For many reasons, gender-based violence incidents remain unreported, which results into significant mental health problems as well as social and physical problems.